What's up, everyone? Welcome to Power Play with CJ. Today we're going to focus in on solving the Matt Cooke problem from three different angles: the NHL's, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Boston Bruins, and what they should do for this punk. Now, as many of you know, I do not like Matt Cooke. I would not want him to play for the Bruins. I have no respect for the way the guy plays. I have no respect for him as an individual. I think he's a gutless lowlife, to put it bluntly. And he had that cute little transformation last year where oh my God, I'm going to stop throwing cheap shots. But as we saw the other night, Leffy doesn't change his spots. Now, am I going a little overboard with the McQuaid hit? Yeah. But I mean, you look at a guy like that, there's no place for that action in the league. And actually, before I go any further, and I get labeled a pissed off Boston Bruins fan with a biased agenda, I'm going to break down previous Matt Cooke incidents. We got Ryan McDonough, Fedor Tootin. That was McDonough, obviously the Rangers. Fedor Tootin with the Blue Jackets. Ovechkin in 2011. Monador in 2011, when Monador was with, I think, the Sabres. Yeah. Vander Kane in 2010, back when Kane played for that team in Atlanta. Keith Yandel also in 2010. Drives Erik Karlsson's head into the boards in 2010. It was a real busy year for him. Obviously, the Mark Savard hit. Andrei Markov from behind in 2010. Artem Anisimov in 2009, back when Anisimov was with the Rangers. Chris Osgood in the finals. That was more, I don't think that was intentional. The knee-on-knee against Eric Cole in the Carolina series that Don Cherry called him out on, and he tried to fight Don Cherry. Real tough guy. Don Cherry's 76 years old and will still kick your ass, Matty. Knee-on-knee on Bogosian. Blindside Parisi into the bench. Drives Matthew Ross head on the boards. So yeah, it's not just the Boston Bruins that has that have a thing against Cooke. Now, if I'm the NHL, what do? Do you throw the book at him more so than you've thrown the book at Rafi Torres twice in the last 2 years. What does that what does that indicate? But that I wouldn't want to be Shanahan right now having to deal with this stuff. But I think when you look at from the Pittsburgh Penguins' point of view, what do you do? Because I think he's putting Crosby and Malkin at risk, when you're going out there and going after other team stars. Who's to say they don't send a goon out with the intention of hurting either Crosby or Malkin? That's what you got to look at if you're the Penguins. And, if I'm Danny Bilesma or Mario Lemieux, I got to look at protecting our key guys and having Cooke as a liability, Who's to say someone on the Bruins or, whoever, all those teams I just named, doesn't try to do something stupid to Crosby or Malkin when they're not looking? You're putting because you're really toying with people's emotions there. I'm not justifying that behavior. I'm just saying it's a reality of, men that play a game loaded with testosterone and physicality. And then from the Bruins' point of view, I say you go out there and you go after him. I think you also should do just that. I mean, I'm not saying go out there with the intention of hurting Crosby or Malkin, but get under their skin and get them off the ice. Don't be afraid to take an extra run on one of those guys, because you've got to fight fire with fire. And I'm not just saying this for the Bruins fans, for other teams. If Matt Cooke's going to go after your guys, you go after one of theirs. And I'm not saying go out and hurt someone. I'm going out and saying let's raise a little hell. And I think Bergeron fighting Malkin was great. I mean you're tasked with the responsibility of shutting down two of the game's elite players, and getting one of them off the ice for 7 minutes is always a great way to do it. And I think that these teams got to look at what they're doing and, take care, defend their own players, but don't be afraid to go in the attack. And I'm not saying go out and paralyze them. I'm not saying go out and hurt anyone. I'm just saying you've got to protect your guys. And, let's see how Pittsburgh likes it when Crosby's getting pushed around. I know Crosby, does he want some cheese with that wine? That was atrocious the other night in Game 1. I'm not saying Brad Marchand's a saint, but, I've never seen a player that complain more than Crosby does. Gretzky wasn't like that. Lemieux, Bobby Orr, none of those guys had that. And OV bitches and moans a lot too. I just think it's more generational than anything else in fairness to Crosby. But you gotta check yourself. You're playing against a team like the Penguins. That's a guy like Matt Cooke, and the same goes for Rafi Torres. I mean, he's the one that's hated around the league. So we'll see what happens, but that's how you're going to resolve the Matt Cooke situation. And I'm sure I'm going to get enough hate messages for posting this, but that's what you got to do. There's no place in the league for a guy like Matt Cooke. I'm sorry, there's no place in society for a guy like Matt Cooke. Had this been another job, I've been fired by now. For being detrimental and dangerous to coworkers and all that. Anyway, that's on this episode of the Power Play with CJ on the Matt Cooke situation. Stay tuned for episodes throughout the playoffs and beyond. Later, guys.